Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Andrew Yang and the one-handed press check from John Wick 2. All right, so basically, let's talk it through. All right, this one takes a little bit of setup. Appreciate your patience. All right, so I'm a huge action movie fan. My love for action movies started with Die Hard. I think Die Hard is still the quintessential action movie, and I really love the action movie genre, and I mean like pure action movie, not a sci-fi movie with action in it, not a fantasy movie with action in it, but like just a pure action movie. And Die Hard's a perfect example of this, right? Well, recently John Wick has been really kind of reestablishing relevance for the action movie, and the reason why is the action movie has really fallen off recently for a lot of reasons. People object to action movies. Some people object to action movies, and then also as an art form, I think it was losing respect. People were like, "Oh, action movies aren't art. They're not art." Right now, I absolutely believe that action movies are art, right? And you can achieve high art in action movies, right? So John Wick comes out, Keanu Reeves is in these action movies, and I was definitely late to the party. I never saw John Wick 1 or John Wick 2 in the theaters. I rented John Wick 1 probably maybe a year after it came out, and then recently John Wick 3 is now in the theaters. I haven't seen it yet, but the other night I did my homework and I went and I rented John Wick 2 on Amazon Prime, right? So, and it was really nice. Like, basically, no one in my family likes action movies, so like, my wife went to bed early, and everybody just kind of gave me the room, and I just sat down and I watched this movie, right? And the reason why I say that's a little bit unusual is I'm a huge movie fan, so I go to the movies all the time, and that's my way of staying focused on a film. When I'm at home, I'm always doing like two things at once, right? I build Gundams while I watch something, or I'll be taking notes on one screen and have, something playing on another screen. So I almost never just sit down and give my full attention when I'm at home to a piece of media, right? To a film or even a show. And so I just sat down and I was like, I'm going to savor this movie because I really like John Wick 1 and I really want to see what they do in John Wick 2, right? So to understand what's special about John Wick 2, and actually what's special about the John Wick series is, John Wick series has a very, very unusual director. This has really never happened before. Basically, Keanu Reeves is a massive star, internationally known name. He has a long list of hits, right? And he's well respected within Hollywood as an actor. He's respected by critics and he is respected by fans, right? And that's pretty rare, actually. So Keanu Reeves really made his bones probably on The Matrix, right? So in The Matrix, his stunt double, he had a stunt double. The director for the John Wick movies is Keanu Reeves' stunt double from The Matrix. So this is a stuntman acting as a director, which is really, now that we've seen the John Wick movies, right, John Wick 1 and 2, really seems ideal, right? Because if you're going to take action films to high art, elevate them from art to high art, putting a stuntman in charge seems like a great idea. And that's exactly what John Wick 2 is. It is high art when it comes to action, right? But there was just one scene in the movie that really solidified to me, I am watching high art, right? And I'm going to explain it. And it was the one-handed press check, right? So let me explain the one-hand press check. So in the film, John Wick is doing his thing. Now, John Wick is a master of tactical urban skirmish, right? So he is pursuing a crime boss, and he's pursuing this crime boss through a hoity-toity New York art museum, okay? And the crime boss's lackeys, which there's like 24, right, are just coming at him from every corner, and they all have armor. They all have pieces, right? And they're all just coming at him left and right? So John Wick is moving through from room to room, and he's just dropping opponents, right? And so now this has happened 2-3 times in the film where I had these long running sessions of him just dropping opponents left and right with various pieces, right? And, heavy pieces, light pieces, one-handed pieces, two-handed pieces, the whole nine, right? So he's just going through these rooms. He's going through these art museum rooms. And he's wrecking people, right? And it gets to a point where he drops 2 or 3 opponents in one room, and his piece is spent. So he actually bends down next to a fallen opponent and rummages through that fallen opponent's suit and finds a new piece, right? So he grabs this one piece. I think it's like an M911, right? And he grabs the piece and he thumbs the release, the magazine release, and just flicks the piece. The magazine launches out of the bottom of the piece, skitters across this hardwood floor, right? And then John Wick, with his other hand, just effortlessly, he picks out a magazine from the fallen opponent, slams it into the piece, right? And then this was the one-handed press check, right? So now he slammed this magazine into the piece. He's also sitting in a room, and he knows that there are more opponents that are going to arrive on the scene. So he has the piece in his right hand, and his left hand is free, right? Now, he also notices there's a weapon on the ground, right? So he leaves his left hand free, right? And so that he can grab or draw, right, from his own collection, right, that are already on him, or from what's on the ground, right? And then with his right hand, with the piece in his right hand, with one hand, right, he takes his thumb and his forefinger and he racks the slide back one-handed. He looks at the chamber and sees that the chamber is ready, that what's supposed to be in the chamber is in the chamber. And then he forwards the slide again with another finger, right? So with one hand, he checks that the chamber is ready after he has already readied this, this piece, right? And this is called a one-handed press check, right? It's incredibly rare. I think there are very few people on the planet who can do this, right? There are very few people who are, tools of tactical urban skirmish, who are enthusiasts of tools of tactical urban skirmish, that even know what this is, right? It's incredibly rare. When I saw it and I was watching the movie, I was like, oh my gosh, right? It's that was with one hand, right? And I've seen so many action films and I have never seen this on screen, right? I was just I was blown away. I was and it was this quiet, simple, subtle moment. There were no boom booms going on around him. The whole thing takes 7 seconds, and the one-handed press check itself takes 1 second. It was this subtle, quiet, fast moment in the film where it showed, not told, right? Show, don't tell, right? It showed the expertise of John Wick. How, when it comes to tactical skirmish and the implements used in tactical skirmish, no one is better. This is why he is John Wick. This is why he gets deference everywhere he goes in the crime world and even from law enforcement, right? Nobody messes with him. Right, and this, just this one incredibly concise expression of skill and competence and knowledge, right? It's the most beautiful thing in the movie, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is truly, the action. We all, action fans know that that action movies are art and have always been art, but John Wick is high art. Right? A one-handed press check, it's the greatest, it is one of the greatest scenes, and it's 7 seconds long ever put in any action film, right? It's just fantastic. So when I saw this, I was like, wait, what about Andrew Yang? Has he done a one-handed press check, right? Now, what am I defining that as? Well, one, this one-handed press check, I think many people who would watch an action movie would miss this, right? And the reason why is a lot of people when I go to see Marvel movies with my wife, she's like, I don't watch the fight scenes. I'm just waiting for the dialogue, right? And I think action fans are the reverse. Like, a lot of action fans are like, oh, nothing, there's no boom boom in this scene. I'll just eat my popcorn and take another sip of my soda during this, right? And you could so easily miss this one swift, demonstrative display of skill and competence and knowledge, right? It's so easy to miss. And that's my point is, I'm always talking about what Andrew Yang needs to do to get over that 51%. So a lot of his maneuvers, right, his political maneuvers have to be incredibly overt, right? And a lot of John Wick's tactical maneuvers, right, tactical skirmish maneuvers are incredibly overt, right? But some of them are quiet and subtle, and only and so only an action movie wonk would really get this one-hand press check, right? Well, Andrew Yang has already had moments where only a political wonk would see the absolutely devastating skill and competence that he is displaying, right? And so Andrew Yang has some, and I'll tell you the biggest one I've noticed so far, right? But first I need to explain where his expertise lies. So one of the things that's absolutely fascinating about Andrew Yang is his, so John Wick's, his body of knowledge, right? His area of expertise is tactical urban skirmish, right? What is Andrew Yang's area of expertise? What is his body of knowledge? Guess what? It is not politics, right? He did not spend his life as a politician, right? He's an American tech entrepreneur, but his real area of expertise is leadership. He understands leadership, he projects leadership, and he executes leadership, right? And with leadership, what you really need to understand leadership, right, and how an organization should be led, and now how a nation should be led, is leaders understand three things, right? Great leaders. They understand three things. They understand people, processes, and tools. Everything of significance that happens on this planet is done with people, processes, and tools. You have to have the right people in place, and they need to execute, okay? You have to have process. You have to know what you're doing and have guidelines for the people that are in place, and guidelines for the last item I'm going to talk as well. And process is incredibly important. In fact, in my opinion, it is process that is the greatest downfall of modern leadership. People do not respect process, okay? The last part is tools, okay? In order to accomplish things, you need the right tools, okay? Now, a great leader has people, process, and tools. They use them equally well. They respect each of them. The vast majority of leaders, all modern leaders who have been leaders for a significant amount of time, understand people and are able to use people, right? Both respectfully and non-respectfully, right? But they should use them respectfully. But there are a lot of leaders who get things done using people non-respectfully. It's not a good part of leadership, and it shouldn't be a part of leadership. But here's the thing. So, and then a ton, and boy, can you talk with leaders about tools. They love to talk about the purchase of tools, which tools are the best, right? But what leaders talk about process, right? There's virtually none, right? And guess what? A one-handed press check is process, right? It is process, right? Process is so important, and it gets so little sway from modern leaders, right? But you have to master all three of those, right? So basically, Andrew Yang's area of expertise, his area of knowledge, is not politics, it is leadership. And it's going to be why on January 20th, 2021, Andrew Yang will become our greatest leader, in my opinion, since Lincoln. I truly believe that. All right. Now, what is Andrew Yang's one-handed press check? Well, it happened at the CNN town hall, and he was answering a question about what our problems were in the nation. And he said specifically, we are in a time of we are in a time of collapse for we are in a time of collapse for institutional trust. People don't trust the government. We don't trust the media. And we have a period of massive rebuilding of trust that we have to earn from the American people. When I saw that, I was like, wow, that is incredible. Now that I've seen John Wick 2, I recognize this moment that I had seen previously as Andrew Yang's one-handed press check, right? What is he doing there? It's incredible, right? One, he is absolutely correct that this is probably the largest problem we have today. It threatens everything we have as a nation, right? Why do people not trust the government? Well, they got a really, really good reason to not trust the government, and that's Snowden. In 2013, Snowden said, listen, the government has had a surveillance program that they have used your own devices, your own devices to spy on you as an American people en masse. And the lie that it took to get this surveillance in place spanned the Democrats and the Republicans. They both went for your throat, right? The George Bush and Obama both lied to you, both spied on you as a people, right? So there isn't a question anymore on whether we can trust the government or not. We know there's an issue with government trust. Snowden already proved it, right? And, and it's not even contested, right? Like, everybody understands the government spied on its own people, used their own owned devices to do it, and used American corporations in the program, right? Done, right? So Andrew Yang's absolutely correct. There's a massive trust issue that is 5 years old, where we have to rebuild trust in our own government. And that trust, guess what? That lack of trust is bipartisan, right? That lie to set up the surveillance program that Snowden unveiled crossed the Republicans and the Democrats. And what are the ramifications of it? Are absolutely massive, right? So the biggest one, in my opinion, right now is the anti-vaxxers, right? I am not an anti-vaxxer. I have all 4 of my children are vaccinated, and when I am blessed to have grandchildren, I will tell my children, please get your children vaccinated immediately, right? This is not going to be an issue. All my kids are like super smart, right? So, but I do not have grandchildren at this point. So, all right. So we're going forward. All right. But here's the thing. Everybody likes to, just laugh at the anti-vaxxers, right? But the thing is, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I don't believe what they believe, but I have incredible sympathy for them. And the reason why is many of them are like, what's in there? What's in it, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, if the government lied, if they actually brought corporations into that lie, if the lie spanned the Republicans and the Democrats, and it's something we're putting in our children, oh my gosh, it's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying, right? And so while I'm not an anti-vaxxer, I have incredible empathy. I have sympathy. I have sympathy for these people who are frightened and have legitimate reasons to be frightened because Snowden proved, and now it's accepted across the board, that our government lied to us, brought in corporations to do the lie, and spanned the lie across both parties, across the Republicans and the Democrats. It's incredible. Like, what Snowden unveiled, that is the rock being pulled back. And oh my gosh, look at the horrors that have skittered out, right? And so he's right. We've got to restore trust in our government, right? And that's huge, right? It also says, oh, hey, you've seen Bernie Sanders, you've seen Elizabeth Warren, you've seen Biden. Forget them. They're part of the problem. They're part of the government who betrayed you. I'm not. Really subtle. That is a one-handed press check, right? That is a deep cut that took a second to lay, right? But that, that is saying leadership really needs to be trusted, right? And it fundamentally undergirds, the bulwark that Andrew Yang is becoming, and it shakes the foundation of every Washington insider, right? Forget Sanders, forget Warren, forget Biden. They're worthless. They were there when you were being lied to. Every single one of them, right? They were part of the problem. It's a super deep cut, like from Andrew Yang straight to every Washington insider, right? Kamala Harris, all of them, pile them up, right? if they're a politician, you shouldn't trust them, right? It's a great point. It's a really good, incredibly accurate and efficient way of going against against them, right? The other one he said is, we can't trust the media. And man, oh man, is he right. And the examples are super recent. 2016, what happened, right? The entire media at the macro level, the media said, Trump is a joke. Nobody needs to worry about him. Not a single analyst, covered by the major networks, right, that had a high platform said, oh yeah, Trump is a major threat. Every major network reassured us. Every major analyst reassured us. And the networks paid millions to get this analyst data, right, to say, this is on lock. It's an oiled slide to the presidency for Hillary. Now, we have to wonder, as a people, were they telling us what they wanted us to believe? Or were the analysts so inefficient and so incompetent at what they were doing that their data can't be listened to? Their data means nothing for 10 or 20 or 50 years until there's a new model of statisticians, until there's a new bevy of statisticians to carry us forward with new models that actually work. Huge problem of trust, right? Every major media network has a huge problem of trust, right? And in one simple statement, Andrew Yang went, it was just a devastating cut against the media that is not giving him a fair shake, and against every Washington insider. It was a one-handed press check. Andrew Yang is the John Wick of leadership. He wrecks, right? Like, he's the absolute wrecking ball, right? I really like him. I'm a huge fan of the John Wick films. And when I look at the competency and the excitement and the momentum behind John Wick, I see Andrew Yang. That's my opinion. Have you seen the John Wick movies? What do you think? Do you think Andrew Yang is the John Wick of leadership? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful day.